So you have Lisfranc injury. What is going on, guys? I decided to make this video today sharing with you a little bit on my journey through my Lisfranc injury and hopefully shed some light upon this, really kind of a serious injury that you might have. For me, I am at a little over 5 months now. It's July 11th and 5-month mark was July 9th. I'm able to walk around my house in socks without, having to put a shoe on now. I'm able to go outside and run for 20 minutes using I always have my compression on the middle of my foot, and he was very clear that I have to have, a lot of tightness in there whenever I'm doing anything. But a little bit of background knowledge on my specific injury, which was obtained playing a men's volleyball tournament for Grand Valley State University. It's a school in Michigan where I play volleyball, and I went up to take a swing at the net in one of our tournaments and came down, landed on somebody's foot, middle of my foot twisted, and the rest is history. I suffered 2 ruptured ligaments. The Lisfranc ligament was completely 100% ruptured, and then there's a second ligament that was 50% torn. Also had 2 fractures and 5mm diastasis from the second metatarsal bone, which is where it separates, and yeah, not very good. Yeah, that's kind of how I got injured. I was not able to walk at all right after that. I went to the doctor. I was injured on February 4th, 2018. I went to see the doctor the next day, and wow, I don't think I've ever been more depressed leaving a doctor's office than when I was told I had Lisfranc injury. What the heck is Lisfranc injury? I was hoping that it was going to be maybe a midfoot sprain or maybe a break or something. I would have rather had anything other than the Lisfranc injury. So I got home that night, looked up, did a little research, and found a lot of negativity surrounding this injury. I'm sure you guys have done your research on this injury and found that it's definitely a season-ending injury. Most of the time it's a career-ending injury for a lot of people because it's such a weird injury and it's so hard to rebuild those that bond with the ligament. It is going to be okay. For me, my injury was grade 2 with complete separation of my second metatarsal up to 5mm, and with that I ended up, it was a whirlwind trying to figure out, what type of surgery to do. The fusion method is basically where they put like maybe 6 screws in there and just lock your foot in place, the middle of your foot, and it takes away a lot of that flexibility within your foot, which is really not ideal for athletes. Me being a very athletic person kind of I wanted to opt for a different method, maybe that's not, a guarantee on the recovery, but it would give me a better chance at playing sports down the road. I ended up using the Arthrex tightrope in the middle of my foot. I didn't use a screw method because it would have required a second surgery to remove the screws, and I know that the screw method, the fixing method, is the gold standard. That's what, most of the research has been done on. This Arthrex tightrope, otherwise known as the button suture method, is fairly new and not as guaranteed that it's gonna work. But for athletes, it's been shown that it might be a better choice because it still allows you to have a little bit more flexibility within the midfoot. So I got injured February 4th, 2018. I went into surgery February 9th with a podiatrist. I remember doing a lot of research on whether to use a podiatrist or an orthopedic surgeon. I ended up going with a podiatrist because the guy we met with I was pretty comfortable with him. And although I was comfortable with him, I was very on the fence about the surgery up until the night before. I was on the phone with him constantly, trying to talk with him because he never used the Arthrex tightrope button suture method in the midfoot before. He's used the screws, it's a lot of the similar anatomy, but he just didn't use this type of hardware, and there's not really a lot of research done on the button suture method on whether it works long term or what's the better method. Everyone mostly just opts for the screws or the fusion, which are not always the best option for people who are wishing to return to athletics. For myself, I ended up using that Arthrex tightrope, and the recovery method for me looked like there was 3 weeks I was completely down on the couch, had to have my foot elevated for 40 minutes out of every hour. I was not able to, get up outside of that maybe 20-minute window span within the hour to, maybe have to pee or do whatever I have to do. I ended up taking that semester off of school and trying to focus on really getting back from the recovery. I got my cast off about the 2.5 week mark and got a boot on, but I was not allowed to start putting weight through that foot until about the 4.5 week mark, which, shocking, is early. 4.5 weeks is early for the surgery. I was doing a lot of research to where it took people 6 to 8 weeks to be able to start putting any type of weight on it or even wean off the crutches. So I was actually starting to wean off the crutches at about the 4.5 to 5 week mark. That is not saying that I was able to do that. It took me over maybe 2 weeks to finally ditch the crutches, and it was very painful. I remember calling my doctor, and I was really worried about, if I was re-hurting the foot, if, it was normal to have a lot of pain through there. And he reassured me, it's normal, after just having a surgery. Who would know you're gonna have a lot of pain? So about the 1 month mark, I was getting, back into walking without one crutch. Eventually, I think I had the walking boot on then for a long time, for maybe up until the 3 month mark. The walking boot was you get sick of it after a while, but I was in that walking boot for about 3 months, and then eventually I switched into some combat boots. I had some Timberlands, and that's what I switched in because he didn't want me in any regular shoes, because you don't want the middle of your foot to be bending a lot, and it provides a lot of stability. Around the 3.5 month mark, I switched into basketball shoes, and I was in those up until recently, a couple weeks ago, where I just got some new running shoes, some Hokas. I ended up doing physical therapy with a girl I've worked with for both my hips, because this is actually my 3rd lower body surgery. The recovery process, I'm not gonna lie, for this is daunting, but I don't think that you should, give up hopes on playing athletics again. And this injury is definitely a season-ending injury. A lot of the times it's a career-ending injury, so you got to kind of take into account that when you're, getting back into things. For me, luckily, right now, I just want to clear the air around that negativity and say, I'm almost 5 months post-op, and I've been able to, get back into playing a little bit of volleyball. I'm not up there, swinging intensely like I used to be, but I'm, able to take some swings and move around the court and run again. I love running. I've been able to run outside now. I have a compression thing around my midfoot that my doctor gave me. I wear that every time I go, every time I walk. Very scary injury for those of you out there. So if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, drop a comment below. Subscribe if you want to see more content or hear me talk about my injury more in depth. But I basically just want to make this video to kind of talk about my experience with the injury and how right now at the 5 month mark I'm doing well, and I'm able to return to sports lightly. Not 100% yet, it's still a month or two down the road, but for those of you out there, I wish you the best, and I hope that your surgery goes well and your recovery goes well. So, peace. Also, guys, here is a little video I'm going to throw in here, a little time lapse between when I was getting off of crutches and to being able to jog again. So, hope you enjoy it.